And welcome once again to another episode of the Horizone Roundtable. I am your host, Bob McDonald. You can find us on Twitter at HorizoneRT. Be sure to follow. We get the latest news, updates, new episodes, whatever we feel like putting up there. So be sure to follow. This episode, my co-host Jimmy Lemke, who you can always find at PantherU on Twitter and at PantherU.com on the web, is not with me. And there's a good reason for that. This episode is a very special one. We have an interview with Cleveland State's head coach, Dennis Felton. Yes, that's right. Really, it is Dennis Felton. So this is going to be a good conversation we had with him. And before we get started, obviously, we want to thank Greg Murphy over at Cleveland State's athletic department, their sports information director, for being a big help in putting this together. Definitely would not have happened without him. So without any further ado, we'll get right to it, and we'll get into our conversation with Coach Felton. First of all, thank you for joining us on the podcast. Really appreciate your time.
Happy to be here, Bob.
Yes. So I know that the spring signing period has come to a close. So I know you've got quite a few different players that you've brought in both in the fall and spring sessions. So tell me a little bit about the players that you signed during the recruiting period, and tell me what part of their game intrigued you the most.
Okay. Well, it all starts with the style that we like to play. And it's built around, first of all, a positionless style. We really don't like to get hung up on positions, but instead we like players to be as versatile as possible and to be long, athletic, and be able to be effective offensively and defensively all over the court. So we recruit to that as much as we possibly can. And then the other thing about our style is we like to play fast, and we like to spread the floor and play a style that leans hard on movement and playing together and skill. So ball handling skills and shooting the ball is important to us, and then athleticism and mobility are important to us. So we're really excited because we feel like we've had a lot of success recruiting to that style of play. And so early we signed some guys. Rashad Williams is a combo guard from Detroit that is really could be characterized as a spectacular shooter with deep range, but he also is a dynamic all-around guard. He can really handle the ball and get to places. He can drive it and score off the deck, get fouled. He has terrific vision, good passer. Starting within transition, he's a tremendous transition passer. So he's the kind of guard we like, in that he's dynamic and he can do all the things that you'd like a well-rounded guard to do. Mm-hmm. And then we signed another young man from Detroit, Spider Johnson, who is 6'9", with a 7'3" wingspan. So he's extremely long, and he's really athletic, quick, mobile. Not just a good leaper, but a quick leaper, very quick second and third bounce leaper. That and those attributes really help him to be a standout defender. He's a versatile defender. I think Spider's the kind of guy that will have the ability to guard every position on the floor. And he's also a terrific shot blocker and goaltender. So we really think he's going to impact our defense in a big way. He's a good rebounder too. He can go get balls out of his area because of his length and athleticism. and because of his quickness and mobility, he can defend all over the floor, and he has really good skill potential too. The way he has good hands, actually a terrific passer, and good touch as a shooter, and we're hoping to quickly develop his ability to shoot facing the basket with even more consistency. Then we signed another player from Michigan, Seth Milner, and Seth is a big 6'6", 200-pound wing who can play at from anywhere on the floor. He's a good three-point shooter. He's got good mid-range. He's a tremendous slasher and rim attacker and can finish above the rim. And he actually also has a back-to-the-basket game. So, again, long, athletic, versatile, and love his, kind of natural, rugged physicality. Another very, very diverse defender, big and strong enough to switch on to bigger guys and guard them, and quick and athletic enough to, sit down and guard, guards on the perimeter. We also signed Jalen Hill, who is a junior college player. He'll come in here as a junior, and Jalen is kind of like a hybrid forward. So again, a guy with a versatile skill set, very long, 6'7", with like a 7'2" wingspan, very, very athletic, like Spider Johnson, a top of the square kind of athlete that can go catch just about any kind of lob you throw to him. Has a real knack for scoring. Basically was a 2010 guy in 2 years of junior college. Has a terrific back to the basket game. Has a terrific mid-range game, either facing up or with his back to the basket. Has the ability to shoot the three, and that's something that we're going to want to. We can't wait to get in the gym with him because we're wanting to grow his consistency as a three-point shooter. Right now, he's a really consistent mid-range shooter. Again, very athletic and long, blocks shots, makes a lot of the defensive playmaker with his length and athleticism, and just another versatile athlete with a good range of skills on offensive and defensive end. Who do I go to next? Then we signed a lot of guys.
You were kind of busy.
Dabaji Walker is a little more the same. Dabaji 6'7" with a 7'2" wingspan, extra long, just kind of freakishly long, quick and mobile. Again, perimeter player that. Could be a spectacular defender because he really he really competes on the defensive end, but he's very, very quick and mobile for a guy as long as he is. And then when you add that length to it, he's a shot blocker, a guy that gets his hands on a lot of balls. Offensively, he can shoot the three, he can slash to the basket, he can finish above the rim, and his biggest challenge coming in will be his strength. He's very thin and has a lot of work to do to build his body. You could say that about Spider Johnson too. That he's got a great frame that he needs to add weight to become as good as he's capable of becoming at this level. Dabaji's again has range to his game at both ends, versatile. Offensively and defensively, and we just love his length and love that we can, we have a lot of guys that you can kind of plug in anywhere or throw out, a deep variety of lineups out on the floor and be effective, playing the way we play at both ends. And then we also.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And just to add into the mix, and I'm sure I probably. Just add also into the mix, you also have the Al Eichelberger coming in from DePaul. He's going to see his first action this year.
Yes, he'll be another new player, although he we recruited him last summer, and he's been in our program a year. Because he transferred from DePaul out of the Big East, he had to sit out this year. And so we've just he's had a great year getting better and getting ready for this year. So not only is he one of our more experienced players. He'll be a sophomore this year, but he's a third-year sophomore with a year of experience in our program, so he understands who we are and what we're about, and understands what our expectations are and our system of play and all of those things. And Al is a 6'8" front court player. He's a big body. Everything about him is big. I mean, big, broad shoulders, big, heavy body, very, very, very long arms, huge hands, just naturally physical. I would have loved to have had him last year because we needed his physicality in the worst way, but we're really happy to have him, in there for the next 3 years for us with as much experience as he has coming into next season. Has a knack for scoring, a knack for rebounding, and just will give us that big, physical, long-armed presence that we missed so much last year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we also we picked up another transfer just recently in Rasheem Dunn, and of course he won't be able to play this coming season, but we're really excited about him. He's a guy that scored almost 900 points in his first 2 seasons at St. Francis, New York. He's a Brooklyn guard, and he is very, very dynamic. He has some similar characteristics to Tyree Appleby, who had such a good freshman year for us this year, that he's quick, explosive, has great instincts, stop and go, change directions on a dime, natural scoring instincts and ability. But he's strong. He's got a big, strong body. Has done a lot to develop that in his first 2 years in college, and we'll have to wait another year for him. But we expect him to step in ready to hit the ground running and be a terrific player for us next season.
Yeah. So at this point in time, I see that. The roster has almost completely transformed from what it was this year. I mean, the lone holder is over as Kash Thomas from the previous coaching era.
Yes.
Given your previous experience both in college and even in the NBA, what have you used to kind of make adjustments to help the team progress over this last year?
Not sure I understand your question. Could you help me understand what you mean?
Well, taking some of your previous coaching experience, your work with the San Antonio Spurs and player development, how has that experience kind of
prepared me for this moment?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's I think. To be successful as a head coach, you've got to be yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to know yourself. You have to be yourself, and you have to lean hardest on your strengths. And I believe my 2 biggest strengths are easily teaching and leading. And so I lean really, really hard on those 2 things. So we consider ourselves to be a teaching program. First and foremost, and we put an incredible amount of effort and attention into teaching our guys how to play the game and how to win at the game and how to avoid the things that go into losing basketball. And that means individually growing every player's game and not only developing his skill set, but developing the things that, concentrating on the things that give each guy the best chance to become, to find his greatness, to be as great as he can be. And then with the team, really, really teaching the team how to maximize our ability together to help ourselves bring out, our best and how to really concentrate on all the things that go into winning major college basketball games, and then leading, and that's a lot of that is just sharing, kind of coaching from the heart, developing the kind of relationships with our players where they feel like that not only do they know me, but they believe in me. And even when I have to tell them things that they don't necessarily want to hear at the moment, they absorb it better because they know I care about them. They know where my heart is. They know that my only agenda is to help them be great and help our team succeed at a high level. So, that's how. And I think the game, I keep things pretty simple. I think, good basketball is based on some, very fundamental, basic elements, and we concentrate on being great and consistently, consistent at those parts of the game that help you win games.
Yeah. So next year, you have a pretty young team. I mean, it's
very young. Yeah.
You have a young team, but at the same time, you also have a pretty solid core. You have Kash Thomas, who's the junior, but you also have Tyree Appleby, and you have Stefan Kenic coming back.
Yeah.
And last year they obviously emerged as two of the best freshmen in the Horizon League. I mean, it was
right.
It was pretty evident. So with that young roster, how do you see kind of the guys that have been in the system for a year plus? How do you see them developing as the leaders on this squad? Even though it is a young team, how do you see them developing as the leaders on this team?
Yeah, well, they're extra excited, and that's the first step. Is they're like on the edge of their seat, getting ready to jump out of their seat, excited about the future. They're really, really excited about the group of teammates that are on their way, the new guys, because they got to know them all and got to believe that they're the kind of people that can help us build something special here. Kash is you could make the argument that he was our toughest player mentally and physically last season, and we really, really appreciate that about him. And we're I believe in doing everything you can to empower your players to take ownership and to kind of take over the team, and just care about it so much that they're willing to basically kind of go to the sometimes uncomfortable extremes to find a way to succeed and help each other succeed, and I think Kash is positioned to be that kind of leader because he commands tremendous respect from his teammates by just being the person he is, being so thoughtful about other people and thoughtful about the team first. And he's had an incredible spring of turning it up in terms of his commitment and devotion to the game, and those kinds of things don't go unnoticed by your teammates. And he's had a hell of a spring from the standpoint of improving because of that work ethic. Stefan Kenic has he's traveled a tremendous distance between last fall when he got here. He missed last summer because of national team responsibilities, and so he just got better and better and better as the year went on, and he's gotten more and more comfortable here and comfortable with his teammates, and so even though he has the language challenges, English is a second language, and learning a lot of new vocabulary on the basketball court and all those things, he's just gained in his confidence and comfort level, and so I think he's going to provide more leadership than you might expect from somebody in his position. And he gained a lot of valuable experience last year. He started most of the season and just made huge, very, very significant contributions to our team, and made big plays in several games to help us win games. So he's I think ready to to take his leadership role onto a new level. And then Tyree has a natural swagger about him. He's Tyree doesn't, expect us to lose another game for the rest of his career.
Well, I should mention that he did tweet out at the very beginning of the season, you guys were making it to the NCAA tournament last season, and you came very close.
That's right. And Tyree was a big reason for that. And he expects a lot of himself and has a lot of confidence and enthusiasm about what we're doing as a team and as a program. And he has some real natural leadership instincts about him to be so young. Because not only was he a freshman, but he's a really young freshman. Probably he should have really still been in high school, and but he has some unique characteristics that really help him be a very productive player and a productive teammate. He's been a great recruiter, because he's all in. He understands how, what kind of opportunity we have as a program. And then Al will be,
yes.
provide great leadership. He's in his second program, and that experience alone gives you a perspective on a different level. And he's just Al is one of those guys that's always smiling and laughing and having a good time and just so likable, and teammates love him. He keeps things loose and fun, and he's a great teammate. He wants to do everything he can for his team. He wants to do some special things together with his teammates, and like I said, he has a unique background of having this is his second major college program, and I'm this is his second coaching staff, and so he's seen some things, and even though he didn't play last year, he practiced every day and learned everything that we do. So he's going to be, as a sophomore, he's going to be an old veteran on this team, and he knows. When we recruited him, we talked about him being a very important bridge player, bridging us from last year's team that was going to lose, most of its players, bridging that team to this year's team, which was going to have a whole lot of new players.
Yeah, true, very true, very true. The other question I had, I understand that you're planning to take the team to Europe this summer?
Yes, Italy.
Yes. So how's planning for that going?
Terrific. We're working hard at raising money to pay for the trip. That's not the kind of thing that you have a budget line item for, because it's only something you do every 4 years at the most, and so that's going well, and the planning of the trip is going well. Everybody's excited about it. Working on getting everybody passports. Most of our players have never left the country, so they've never had a need for a passport before now, and it's going to be a great summer for us, because we'll be here all summer together working, and then we'll get those 10 practices, getting ready for that tour that we would have never gotten without this tour, and there's it's really important to this year's team, because we have so many new players, and we're going to be so inexperienced that that head start at preparing for this year with those extra practices and those games over in Italy. Just it gives us a chance, a fighting chance, to just have more prep time, going into this year, and then the chemistry part and the bonding part. There's nothing better for team bonding than to be stuck with each other on the other side of the world in a foreign-speaking country. So we're looking forward to all the benefits of this tour together.
Sure. So now I understand, earlier this week, Cleveland State announced pricing for season tickets for the next year, for the 2018-2019 year. I know you guys are still working on hammering out the schedule. I know that usually comes out later on right before the season starts. So, but the question I have is kind of regards to the interest in the program, specifically as it relates to your run at the Motor City Madness. That was that with each game. from what it seems like there was more and more interest in at the point of the championship game where you had 5 busloads of fans coming into the Little Caesars Arena. I mean, it's one of those kind of things that with a team that's fan interest has been pretty low in previous years. It's a nice sign to see. So from your perspective, obviously, and I know before the season, you were out and about generating interest in the team as well. So with that, and coupled with this, with that run in Motor City Madness, how do you expand upon generating that fan interest, getting them excited, interested in next season?
Yeah, well, one of the most important reasons, one of the biggest impacts that championship run had was on the fact that it woke the city up. It woke our campus up and woke the city up to what we're doing. That was one of the biggest benefits coming from that run. And so we do want to kind of use that as, momentum to keep moving forward. I know that everyone involved with our program, from Mike Thomas, our athletic director, to throughout the athletic department staff, and of course our coaching staff and our players, we're doing everything we can to capture the attention and the imagination of our fans, to get them excited about what we're doing. And the tournament run was a real shot in the arm towards that, because even the casual fan and even the non-fan, you couldn't avoid hearing about Cleveland State basketball as we were marching to that championship game. So that was huge, and we do want to capitalize on that. We're going to do everything we can to introduce our new players to our community, because we've got all these new guys, and then I know once our fans lay their eyes on these guys, they can't help but get excited, because it's just it's a new level of athleticism and talent that we're talking about. And
sure.
We have we'll have a lot of growing up to do and a lot of learning to do, but in the meantime, it's going to be a fun process for our fans to watch this group grow up and grow up together, because we'll still do all the things that we started doing last year, in terms of playing together, and then playing with toughness. That's that final corner that we started to round late in the season last year that allow us to to really start winning a lot of games at the end of the season, was the toughness piece. And but we're just gonna, we're gonna have more dynamic talent and athleticism to do it with, moving forward. And we're going to be that team that our fans that did watch us this year, we got a lot of just great feedback from our fans about our style of play, about how much fun it was to watch, how exciting the games were, how they enjoyed watching our players have each other's back the way they did, and play together the way they did at both ends, and have just kind of a never quit approach to things. Because hey, let's face it, last season was a tough year where we did lose more games than we won, but the feedback that we got from our fans, and I would expect this, but it was just great. I mean, because we always found a way to compete really hard and give ourselves a chance to win most every game except for just a couple. And so that's what we're building here. And so for any fan of basketball, as you watch this, you can see it coming. Of course, everybody just wants to win, period. But, I enjoy the process, and I want our fans to enjoy the process. We're not going to be as great as we're going to become, right away next year. We're a program that's in its infancy, And but there's no reason why you can't enjoy, the challenges along the way, even if you're coming up a little short on the scoreboard. Because you can appreciate how hard we fight to represent our school and our community as well as we can, and to fight as hard as we'll be fighting and continue to fight to improve. And that's especially when you're a program in its infancy like us, that's what you as a coach, I always focus on improvement. But before you're a championship team, that's what you have to focus on, and I hope that's what our fans can focus on and appreciate along the way as we as we build this thing up.
Yeah, I could say from my standpoint, there was absolutely never a dull moment last season.
Good. We had some frantic comebacks, and
yes,
just where it was, we fought to the end, even though we were coming up short a lot earlier in the season.
But at the end, that was coming through. I mean, there was right up until the last game of the final game of the tournament, they were all close games, and every single one of them you came through.
That's right. And I'll be like totally transparent with you. Like as a coach, all I concentrate on is improvement, because if we're improving, that means we're headed in the right direction. And all year long, I knew that we were improving, but still, even as the coach of the team, I would not have been able to tell you, with a lot of confidence that we were ready to beat Northern Kentucky, for instance.
Yes.
Because they were where we were trying to get, and really where we're still trying to get. They were established championship team. And so, I don't quite know how to say this, but it just, I knew we were improving, and I knew we were becoming more and more and more competitive, but even I didn't know that we were a team that was ready to take on and beat Northern Kentucky and Oakland, the way we did. And so as a coach...
neither did they.
What's that?
And clearly neither did they.
Yeah, I know, but so even though I know we're improving, even as a coach, sometimes you don't know when the moment's going to happen when you turn that corner and be able to accomplish, some pivotal moments like that. So, like I said, it was great, and so I talked about the run being great for us from a promotional standpoint, but it was also obviously great for our few returning players to feel the feeling of, okay, all this stuff that we're talking about, all this stuff that we're working at, it really can get us to the mountaintop. It really can, allow us to be good enough not only to compete but to win. So, so now those guys, Tyree and Steph and Kash, and Al, they've got to share that experience with these new guys as we kind of start all over again.
Sure. One last question. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic.
Yeah. That's my man.
Yes. I'm as a child of the '90s, Parliament Funkadelic was all over the place. I say child. Yeah. I was in college the entire time.
Okay. And I was a child of the '70s.
There you go. So what was what was your first experience with listening to them and saying, yeah, that's definitely what I'm into?
That's an easy answer, man. It was one of the best moments of my life. For those people out there that don't know, I'm a diehard Funkadelic. It's and I've been lucky enough to become good friends with George Clinton. So that's that's just like one of the the most special things I got going. But what happened was my father was in the Air Force. So I spent a lot of time growing up in Europe, in Spain and Germany. But then we came back stateside when I was 12 years old, as he was stationed at Andrews Air Force Base right outside of D.C. And we went to a family friend's house. They were also an Air Force family. My parents were good friends with their parents, and they had a couple of sons that I didn't know. I was meeting them for the first time. So we went over to their house to hang out, met their sons. They were a little older than me, and while the parents were hanging out upstairs, we went down to the basement, and they pulled out the Mothership Connection album. And my life has never been the same.
There you go.
So that's where it all started, and so I had some backwards work to do, because Parliament Funkadelic had been, putting out a lot of great music before the Mothership album. So, I went backwards.
Entered the Mothership. Right then and there.
Yes, I've. When I retire, I want to, fly away on the Mothership.
There you go.
So there's a lot of people out there listening right now that don't know, what the hell we're talking about. But for those of you that don't, Google it.
Yeah, I might have to preface this before. You know what? No, if they're listening to the Horizone Roundtable, and if you don't know who that is, guys, come on, you're killing me here.
That's right. Yeah, George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic. Look it up. If you listen, you won't be able to put it down.
If you have not heard at least one Parliament Funkadelic song, one George Clinton song, one P-Funk All-Star song, where have you been living for the last 50 years?
Yeah, I know. Well, that's one thing. Everybody's heard it, but everybody doesn't know it because it's everywhere. And hip hop for the younger folks, they're the most sampled band on the planet. And hip hop is they worship P-Funk, and so people don't even know, but they've listened to it and don't even realize it.
Yeah. Oh, again, this is where I live, man. And this is, I graduated from high school in '92, and then, Dr. Dre came out, and he was all about that.
Yeah. Dr. Dre. I mean, that's yeah. Well, what was the movie about Dr. Dre and his crew?
Straight Outta Compton.
Came out a couple. Yeah, Straight Outta Compton. Yeah,
yep.
You just watch that movie and you can see how much those guys worshipped. Whenever they were listening to music, it wasn't their own music. It was Parliament Funkadelic.
It was. That's true. That's absolutely true. All right. Well, Coach.
Yeah.
Coach, absolutely great conversation with you. Appreciate your time, and and good luck to you on this upcoming season.
Really appreciate it, Bob. Thank you for the interest, and had a good time talking with you.
All right, wonderful. So that was our conversation with Coach Dennis Felton. Got to thank the coach, and again, thank Cleveland State Athletics for giving us a hand in putting that together. But fear not, this week, this is not going to be just the only episode. We're going to have an extra episode, and Jimmy will be with us, and we'll be talking about this interview and everything else that's going on in the Horizon League right now. As always, you can follow us and our website, sportshacks.com, HAX. That's our host. That's our podcast host. And you can always find us where podcasts are found, be it iTunes, TuneIn, you name it. We're everywhere, mostly everywhere. So thank you again for listening, and stay tuned. And watch out for that second episode because it is coming. And it's coming sooner rather than later. So we'll talk to you then.